Malcolm X once said that the greatest enemy to the black community is Donald Trump. No. The greatest enemy to the black community is the white liberal. The white liberal. And I would take that a step further to say that the greatest enemy, the greatest detriment, the most destructive force within the black community has been the echoed sentiments, the messaging from the white liberal. It has been the very thing that has kept us enabled. It has kept us unable. It has kept us disabled. It has kept us in a place where we are lower than, less than, and continuously perpetuate the very same dysfunction and trauma that we believe to be normal. Because we continue to hear from the white liberal. They tell us that you are under a system of oppression. You can do nothing for yourself. In order for you to even have just a few crumbs in the society, I must give it to you. Now, if we want to do a quick history lesson, and I'm going to do a very fast run through of this. If we go back to 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation, after a long and bloody war, where the Republican Party was constituted, created in order to be in opposition to the Democratic Party, who was fighting to keep slavery. Then we can fast forward to 1965, exactly 100 years later, the end of Jim Crow, the end of segregation. Jim Crow, which was instituted by, yet again, the white liberal, the Democratic Party. Now, after that, they took on the chameleon and the camouflage. After that point, they all of a sudden became the party that was for the blacks. All of a sudden, they were the party that was for the colored and the Negro and the African American. As a matter of fact, they were so devoted to our cause that they were willing to have our men leave the home in order to take care of mama and the children. How kind was it? Like, just think of the compassion, the level of love they had for us to say, you know what? You don't need that man in that house. Get rid of the guy in the house. I'm going to take care of you now. I'm going to make all of these programs. No. Don't you go out there and get a job. No, don't you go out there and educate yourself. Don't you build a family. Don't do all that. Just make sure these kiddos right here are born into the system. I'll take care of them. I'll send you a couple of checks every now and then, right? Just make sure he's not in the house. And let's keep this between you and I. And we bought into that deal. We believed that they were taking care of us. Social reforms. We believed that this was a form of reparations, in essence, a form of upliftment from the very same party who put you in them chains, the very same party who said you couldn't drink at the same water fountain. And people love to use the statement of, well, the Democratic Party was a Republican Party before and they changed. When did they change? Man, do your damn research. There was no change. Am I saying that any of them were perfect? Absolutely not. But there was only one party in the entirety of human history that fought to keep this republic going. Because, by the way, we're not a democracy, if you guys didn't know. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, to the republic, we are a democratic republic. So we have representation. So we vote for representatives, and those representatives are the ones who then essentially move our agendas forward. So I just had to clear the airway with that one because there's a whole lot of true fake news that moves through the ethers. Oh, but they're still the ones who are disempowering. Look at it right now. Look how they're playing in your face. They have absolute ratchetness that they're putting on those stages as representation of what we are. When they're talking to us, people who look like us, they got Cardi B, they got Meg Thee Stallion, they got Glorilla, they got Sexy Reds. That's what they see us as. That's how they perceive us. They perceive us as lower than. They perceive us as those who need a handout, those who truly cannot do for self. And so they will perpetuate the very same messaging. And if you are that white liberal listener right now and you are irked down to the very core of you, let me say this. If you had a child and you wanted that child to be self-sufficient, would you make sure that that child was reliant on you for the rest of your life? Now, I would say no. And if you said yes to that, it shows that you're truly selfish. Your agenda is to be needed and to be wanted. And this is the greatest trauma of the white liberal. The unresolved trauma that they're operating from is their need to be needed, their need to be viewed as virtuous, as good. I'm not going to point to exactly what happened in every single one of y'all childhood, but there's an aspect in you which is it's like that white guilt, right? You have this deep-seated need to be a good person. You feel so filled with shame, so filled with guilt for something that you did not even do, you did not even participate in. And so you hold on to that and you project it outwardly as this savior complex, when in truth, you are saving no damn body. Nobody benefits when you baby them. Your child doesn't benefit when you coddle them throughout life. Why do you think an entire group of abled people, powerful people, just like the rest of everybody else, those who have shown throughout history, uplift themselves, but yet you look at them and you say, oh, surely they can't do for themselves? I'm telling y'all right now, this is deeper than politics. And the fact they're trying to keep us on this Democratic plantation, I've never seen a white liberal turn faster in their seat than when they hear a black person not reflecting back their same sentiments and their same belief systems. I grew up in the Bay Area, folks. 17 years in the abyss, in Babylon. You understand me? I was in the midst of it. And they would all look at me with a story ready for me. Oh man, they were licking themselves. They were licking them chops. They were ready for it. They're about to smack on a nice little lefty conversation. Then all of a sudden I would take it, boom, all the way to the right and say, wait a minute, why do you think that black people are unable to? I remember I talked to a lady who was the head of diversity, some of that nature at LinkedIn. For y'all body language specialists, I'm scratching my ear because it's itching, not because I'm lying. I know how y'all be. I can be like that too. I'm like, why is he doing that? Why is he scratching his neck? Because it's itching. But I met this woman at a Whole Foods. She came and sat next to me. Again, I didn't know this woman from a pile of bricks, right? She came and sat next to me. I'm on my laptop doing my thing. And the entire section was open, mind you. She looks up, and I can just see from the corner of my eye, she looks up. I'm kind of on my laptop, and I'm an open guy socially most of the time. Sometimes I can be locked in and I do not exist. But, more often than not, if you catch me at a coffee shop, I'm probably going to end up in a real elongated conversation with you. Nevertheless, she keeps looking, and finally I can tell, okay, she wants to start a conversation. And the first words that come out of her mouth is like, it's so unfortunate. Mind you, this was like 2019, 20-ish or something like that. Or no, it was 2018, 19, right before the vid hit, right before the COVID hit. And she looks up, she's like, it's so unfortunate. And I was like, what's unfortunate? And she's like, the fact that you guys have such a difficult time, getting opportunities. And I immediately stopped. I was literally doing client work, mind you, right? I had started my little marketing company where a majority of my clients were white people. Surprise, surprise. And she looked up and she's like, yeah, it's unfortunate that you guys don't get opportunity. I was like, what do you mean by that? She's like, well, and immediately she told me, like a vegan would, right? She told me, I'm the head of blase diversity at LinkedIn. And, like UX diversity. So not only like head of diversity, but UX, which is, I believe like graphic design or something like that. If you truly know what UX, hit me with that because I'm probably completely wrong. But she said UX, like head of diversity in UX, right? That's how far this madness had gone. And I basically kind of echo back to her and say, I actually haven't seen that to be the case. I started my business and I've had, clients flooding in. I've been getting plenty of opportunities. And all of a sudden, it's like her eyes got wide. She's trying to backtrack, but also refute my statement. And it became less of a conversation and really more of like a back and forth where she was trying to convince me that, no, I am oppressed and, I don't have opportunities. And then she tried to say, well, maybe that's just you and just your experience. I say, well, yeah, well, all of us have our own experience. So, of course, I was in a debate with a professor from a junior college in a coffee shop in Pete's down there in San Jose. And this one was She came from a communist country and came here to teach humanities or something like that. So we had a real back and forth. And the closing statement for me, because she said this thing about business, and she said, I can only support a business if it's a small business, blah blah. And I said, so what happens when that small business starts to grow and become successful? You no longer support it? And she said, well, now they're, they're now the big capitalist, blah blah. I said, okay, so I get it. Okay, so you support Jeff Bezos when he's in the garage or in the little ass cubicle doing Amazon, but as soon as it gets bigger than that, you no longer support them, right? And that just shut the entire conversation down. But a lot of what she was spewing was, again, this rhetoric. Mind you, both these women are white women, and both of them were looking to put me in my place. That's what they were looking to do. They wanted to put me in my place. How dare you step outside the confines of what you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to believe? How dare you? The audacity of you. Get back beneath me. Does that not sound like a slaver, a slave master, an overseer? When somebody's trying to tell you what to do politically, does that not sound like a slave master? Are you kidding me? I'm supposed to, but you're black. How could you? Because I do my research, because I think for myself. That's why. Because I'm not afraid to speak my truth. And you ain't gonna bully me back onto the plantation. No, massa. No. You're not about to bully me back onto that plantation. And again, they sometimes, if it's you listening, you sometimes, as the white liberal, you really believe you're doing your damn thing. You believe you're doing your service. You're doing your part. The only part that you're doing, the only part that you're playing is to keep us infantilized. You keep us in a baby, infantile stage. Simple as that. And you're actually degrading the entire race because you look at the stereotypes. You look at the stereotypes and you believe that that is what is us. You want to see us as a monolith because it makes it easy for you. You don't want people who are diverse. You want people who look different in their skin color who agree with you. As soon as they have a differing opinion, they are now public enemy number one. I've seen this play over too many times, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of not talking that talk. I used to want, like Malcolm, I used to wonder why you said that. Because I heard this statement years ago when I was far more left-leaning. I did not understand it. It wasn't because, I didn't want to accept it. I just didn't get it because I wasn't matured enough. I hadn't opened my mind to enough ideas to truly understand. I hadn't gone through enough experiences to really see and deep this. And now in 2024, it is clearer than it has ever been. There is a full-on onslaught to have us black onto the plantation. See that Freudian slip? To have us back onto that plantation. How dare you leave us? Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ, who is a martyr of I know he never, obviously, he wasn't killed for the cause, but he was a quote unquote, like a God figure to a lot of those lefties, right? LBJ. He was quoted as saying, we're going to have these niggas or niggers voting Democrat for the next 60 years. That was, I believe, sometime in 66, 67, whenever it was that he went into office. It is now the 60-year mark. We are now in the 60th year, in essence, or the 6th decade. And that spell has been broken. We are over. We are through. Our relationship has been annulled. The marriage has been canceled. This is the divorce of the free-thinking mind versus the hive mind, the free-thinking mind from that plantation mind. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's time for us to prosper, for us to be empowered in a real way. Not your foolishness of empowerment, not your idea of putting your body out into the streets and not valuing yourself. Not that. Not by trying to tear down a system out there, but instead tearing down the belief systems that we've planted up here and to create empowering belief systems. That's how we're moving now. That's how we're moving now. True empowerment. We will lift ourselves up by the bootstraps. Oh, what a racist sentiment. Oh, it's racist now? Because I'm not echoing back what you want to hear? Because I'm not letting you feel like you own me and you get to control me anymore? Where'd they do that at?
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3, 6, 5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations.